So in this video, I'm going to give my review of the keyboard, the Durgod Taurus K320. I hope I'm pronouncing that correctly. This is my first mechanical keyboard, so keep that in mind as you listen to this review. Now, this review is going to be a bit different because it's a video, but there's not going to be much video content. I'm going to go through this presentation, and the reason I'm doing that is because I'm really bad at taking videos, not as good as professional outlets. So this is some footage I took earlier of me recording my keyboard, and as you can see, it's really shaky. It's really difficult to focus on if you're a viewer, so I'm not going to show you any more videos. I'm just going to show you slides, and hopefully that will be good enough and entertaining enough to give you an understanding of the good and bad points of this keyboard. Okay, so let's go through the good points. Firstly, it's a keyboard with an ISO layout that you can purchase on Amazon. Now, for those of you who don't know what an ISO layout is, here are the two kind of main layouts you can get for a keyboard. The one at the top is ISO and the one at the bottom is ANSI. The bottom one is more for American keyboards and the top is more for British/European keyboards. As you'll notice, the biggest difference I can immediately see between the ISO and the ANSI is the enter key. So the enter key is much bigger on the ISO, and it's a lot easier for me to kind of tap the enter key with my pinky finger without even thinking, because I'm so used to it, than me doing it on the ANSI. I'm sure I'll miss that enter key a lot. So that's why I would personally prefer an ISO layout on my keyboards than an ANSI. Now, if you were to look at the reviews of the best mechanical keyboards out there, you'll see things like this. So you'll see a Keychron, which is a great keyboard, and you'll see something like a Ducky one, which is also a great keyboard. But as you can see from these two screenshots, they're both in the ANSI layout, which is great. And I know that Keychron even offer an ISO layout, but these models are difficult to get on Amazon. If I do a search for Ducky 1 ISO on the UK Amazon, the results give me ANSI keyboards. And if I do the same for the Keychron, well, it doesn't even show me any Keychron keyboards, which is not useful at all. Now, like I said, Keychron do offer an ISO layout, but they're usually out of stock. They're usually hard to come by because they don't make many of these models as they're less popular. On the other hand, if I do a search for Durgod, you'll see the majority of keyboards that come up in the search are ISO, which is great. The next benefit of the Durgod K320 is that it has a lot of height adjustment options. This is a picture I took of the keyboard at its flattest height option, which is the layout I mainly use. You can make it go slightly higher and it'll look like this, and you can make it go even higher. Now, I know a lot of mechanical keyboards out there don't give you this much option for height, and some people prefer having higher keyboards and some people prefer them having flat, but this keyboard gives you a good range of options. The third point is that it's easy to customize, and this is quite common with mechanical keyboards. This is the benefit of getting a mechanical keyboard in the first place, is that it's easy to customize. And right out of the box, when you buy a Durgod, you get a lot of things. As you can see, you get the USB-C to USB-C cable, you get a USB to USB-C, and you also get this thing to take out the keys that you want to replace, and also you get some replaceable keys that are in orange. This is what mine looks like. It's not orange like this one, mine's white, and it's really easy to pop out keys. Here's a picture of me taking out the F key, and I've taken out a few other keys. You can see the switch underneath them, and what I've done is I've also customized it by getting a few extra keycaps that support Mac, because out of the box the Durgod is a Windows layout keyboard. It doesn't have any Mac specific buttons, so I've gone ahead and bought some Mac specific keycaps. I'll put a link to this in the description if you want to do the same, and these have made my keyboard much easier to use. I've also purchased some rubber O-rings to make my keyboard sound a bit quieter. I mean, it's not silent, but it's a lot quieter with these on than without. As you can see, these are what the O-rings look like. Here's a picture of me putting one on, and even some have two. As you can see here, the spacebar has two rubber O-rings on the spacebar since I hit it a lot, so it's a bit quieter than it is without them. Just to give you an idea of how much quieter the keys sound with rubber O-rings on them, I'm going to do a quick sound test. So here I'm going to push a key without any rubber rings. And here I'm going to push a key with one rubber ring. Okay, without, with, without, with. So there you can hear how much quieter it is with these rubber O-rings. I'm going to put a link in the description of the exact ones that I bought. The fourth good point about the Durgod Taurus keyboard is that it has really good build quality, and that's something I noticed when I opened it and picked it up, is that it's not a light keyboard. It's quite heavy, and you can tell based on the way it's been built, the weight, the keycaps, that this keyboard was built to last. Okay, now that we're done with the good points, let's talk about the bad points. And the first bad point is that this keyboard is not wireless and it has no backlighting. You've probably noticed from the screenshot I showed you earlier that there are two cables, the USB-C to USB-C and the USB to USB. So this keyboard is USB-C, so these ends will go into them, and based on what machine you have, you can plug it into a USB-C machine if you've got the new MacBooks, or you can plug it into the USB port. That immediately shows you that it's a wired keyboard. This isn't for charging. You need these wires to be plugged in for the keyboard to work. And that's quite annoying if you've got one of the new Macs that only have two ports. You've got one port for charging and one port for your keyboard, and that's it. You can't use the ports for anything else. And if it was wireless, if it was Bluetooth, then you could have a port 3 for whatever you want to do. But because it's wired, you can't do that. Also, there's no backlighting. So if you're coding or gaming late at night, you can't use it. You have to have a light on, light that's strong enough for you to see and use the keyboard properly. And that's quite annoying. The next bad point is that the switches in this particular mechanical keyboard are not hot swappable. For those who have no idea of what hot swappable means, I'm going to explain it now. With a mechanical keyboard, you can get a range of different switches, but the main ones are browns, blues, and reds. And these are the three differences between them. The blue ones are more clicky. If you like to have a clicky sound whenever you push the keys down, go for blue. The browns are more tactile, so they don't have a click, but they have a tactile bump. And the reds are the linear, so they also don't have a click, but they don't have a tactile bump, so you won't know when you've pushed the base of the keys. Reds are ideal for gaming. Now, a hot swappable keyboard allows you to mix and match the switches based on your preference. So I have a keyboard with brown switches, and I cannot change those switches if I wanted to. I'm stuck with brown whether I like it or not, and that might not be ideal for everyone, especially if you're getting your first mechanical keyboard and you don't know what switch you like using. It's quite annoying to have to buy something and be stuck with it when you might actually have preferred a different color switch, but you wouldn't know. That's not good. The third bad point about this mechanical keyboard is the price. It's actually quite expensive for what it is. So here is the Durgod Taurus on Amazon. This is the one that I've bought, the exact same one. And the price is £120, which I think is around $165. If you compare that to a Keychron K3, which supports Mac out of the box, has backlighting, is wireless, and is also hot swappable, that is $84. Now, if that's coming to the UK, there's obviously going to be postage and packaging, which is going to be quite expensive. So that might even bump the costs higher. But look at all the features you get. You get backlighting, wireless keyboards, and you can swap whatever switch you want. How is that the same price as for a keyboard that doesn't support half of those features? I don't understand. The fourth point, which I've already explained earlier in this video, is that it has bad support for Macs. Now, I guess bad isn't the best word to use. It doesn't have great support for Macs out of the box. So this is the layout, very Windows focused. I mean, if you look at the keys on the far right, this is a very Windows thing to have. There's the Windows logo over here. You've got control down here. It's not Mac friendly, and you can do what I've done and customize your keyboard to have Mac keycaps, but then you also need to set the keys to do different things when you press them. Like if I've swapped this to an option key, I don't want it to do what the Windows key was set to do. I want to remap those keys with some sort of software. The software that comes with the Durgod is Windows only, so Mac users have to do a bit of digging. Luckily, there's free software here called Carabinier Elements, which does exactly that. And this is the software I use to make my keyboard work on the Mac. these are the settings that I have. As you can see, it's not straightforward. I had to do a lot of research to get to this point, a lot of trial and error, and finally my keyboard works as well as a Mac keyboard, but it wasn't out of the box, so that's a disadvantage. So there you have it. I've gone through my good points and my bad points, and from there you can take away whether you think the Durgod Taurus K320 is a keyboard that you want to get. I hope you found this video useful. If you have, please give it a thumbs up and subscribe to my channel for more videos like this.